What's up, y'all? Winnie here, and welcome back to Prequel, or Making a Cat Cry the Adventure. I'm not sure how many updates there've been since the last time I've been here, because it says this one came out October 7th of 2024, and I did see the creator mentioning how there were more updates. Also, this new side story thing over here was not here the last time I was on this website, but it says Nostalgia pre-orders when I hover over it, so I think it's probably not going to be on the website. Anyway, far away in an unknowable direction, an eternal being of no particular importance stands on the starry indigo precipice between dreams and reality. Across the aeons she has been called many names, and for countless centuries more she has held no name at all. Yet, the one she bears now, bequeathed to her by the Weaver, the Gifter, the Lady of Nightmares herself, is a name that thrums with both its giver and its bearer. What is it? Well, it seems to be some sort of spooter. Well, what's the name? Faye wrote, Katia Mannequin. Jamie wrote, by some remarkable coincidence, also Katia. Unthinkable! An icy chill runs down the back of your exoskeleton as the name enters your mind. Your very animus shuddering at the sound of it. Don't think about its form, its essence. It is far too listen, too pillows, too disturbingly feline. A crippling fear of all things cat-like has burned within you since the day of your creation, when the mistress of dark portents decided that you should have a crippling fear of all things cat-like. Being so innately woven into your fabric, the reasoning for your fear is difficult to articulate. Perhaps it is the creature's soundless prowl as they draw closer to the unsuspecting prey, ready to pounce at the first opening. Maybe it's the gleam of predatory fangs, ready to sink and tear into the flesh of the hapless victims. Or maybe it's the jagged, bladed tongues with which they use to effortlessly strip away the muscle, organs, and other fleshy material from the bones, playing the very life out of the half-dead meal. The mere thought of a kitten terrifies you. To imagine a full-grown bobcat or lynx would leave you hyperventilating. Were you to come into contact with a truly large and dangerous feline such as a tiger, a lion, or a Khajiit, you would be utterly inconsolable. That's why your job is to handle all incoming contact requests from Khajiit. Also, what is, I'm not sure what that word is supposed to be. Since, oh, okay. Lol Mothlit, since foxes are scary for much the same reasons cats are. Strange that you haven't heard from any in a while, though. Firehammer wrote, their name is definitely Atrantu. But digressing, you ponder your name. You ponder it in the Cyrillic alphabet specifically, since your role as an intermediary to mortal beings requires you to stay practiced. It is a noble and powerful name, befitting an omen of Vermina. It is a name of personal importance as well, granted to you by the Dreamweaver herself. Though the spelling is pure conjecture on your part, you've only heard her say it out loud from a distance. Atrantula. In mild frustration, you realize that you have pondered your name too hard, causing it to physically form out of the untamed dream cratia of quagmire. You shove it in the corner with the other things you've recently thought too hard about. They should fade away in about a few days, as long as you don't think too hard about any of the things currently listed in front of you. Just shove them. Double. Oh, okay. Really good sandwich. Soul absorption. Atrantu. Consume the words. Snake wrote, how does it taste? Jasign wrote, you gotta eat those words, buddy. Wordweaver wrote, try consuming the words to gain their mysterious power. Who knows? Maybe the words really good sandwich will taste like a really good sandwich. You try, for the many thousandth time, to ingest one of the phrases. Perhaps your command over the dream creature has finally crossed the threshold where it can emulate taste. You did unlock the secret to making that glyph just earlier this century. Alas, the words dissolve on your mandibles with no flavor other than that of untamed dream creature. Worse yet, your resultant longing for a really good sandwich causes the words to reform immediately. You repeat this for several hours just in case something changes. If nothing else, it at least recharged your spinneret. Dandyroot wrote, retrieve pride and satisfaction from pottery projects at various stages of completion. Inferno wrote, cool pottery. Yours. They certainly are. The Prince of Dreams and Nightmares has always been a strong advocate and appreciator of the arts. As her servant, her devotee, her creation, is both reverent and expected of you to share this appreciation. The last thing you'd want to do is defy her will as she tear your head off, vacuum all your organs out, and bind your consciousness into a sword. Like those guys, you make tasteful vases for them to improve the aesthetics of their damnation. Feeling the pull of inspiration, you set to work on a new creation. Using one of the swords that used to be those guys. You call it Libros. It represents the innate frustrations of existence, but also their ephemeral nature. Although its structure is intricate and its creation was time-consuming, the fragility introduced by those very same intricacies render it inherently transient. Someday, perhaps maybe in a year, maybe in a minute, it will shatter, and all concern and worry spent upon it will finally be revealed as a detriment rather than a benefit. It is a chrysalis for dust and shards, and when it hatches forth, the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it will exist only as a toll taken upon you. Brings you comfort. Zarhan wrote, are all the Weaver, the Gifter, the Lady Nightmare Servants phobic of their assigned main clients, or are you an exception for any particular reason / bad luck? You assume it's everyone, and if not, it's not your place to question such things. Any Khajiit mage reaching out to Quagmire will find their mind tethered to your own, sharing with them a fragment of the fear you feel. In this, your fear becomes a way for your lady to share her gift with them, to share her art. But more than that, it's a way for her to share it with you, a way for a sleepless creature to live the terror of a nightmare, a way for you to form memories of events that never happened, and of monstrosities of fern claw that were never a threat to you. You, like all she can reach, are canvas for her work, a painting of vines and leaves grown from a single seed of fear planted within you. That is what you assume, of course. You are not with great importance to the Dark Lady, and even your sightings of her are limited. Although you might speculate about them, her motives are yet another one of the innumerable mysteries kept locked away in the Citadel. It's getting weird. It's getting weird. I didn't see what day this update came out. Oh. It's cool, but also it's starting to become see-through. Turning into castles. Castle moving? Are we moving? What's happening here? Darkness. It's still going. Oh, next page. Additional resource credits. AMK, Third Dimension Magic. And this update came out December 10th, 2024. So we got some time. Looks like we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. So I guess we'll stop when we're done with Atrantu. Burbag wrote, how much further down is this thing going to go? Intrusive Thoughts wrote, so what would happen if you just jumped off the vine? Would you eventually hit something, or would you just fall forever? The mysteries of Quagmire are a closely guarded secret to maintain the plane's mystique. Which is to say, the ground does exist, but you're not supposed to tell anyone. Aeons of falling seeds have germinated a veritable jungle of soft vegetation miles below. Should someone ever miss a jump, place a Tarsus in the wrong spot, or otherwise plummet into the starry abyss, they would fall for several hours before safely landing among the twigs, sap, and leaves. They would then be subject to a grueling, days-long climb up one of the numerous rope ladders the Queen of Nightmares installed across Quagmire in the event of this happening. It's actually an extremely unexciting process, and if your life were a written story, the entire sequence of slipping, falling, and climbing back up would probably be skipped for time. John wrote, So, what's it like in the Citadel? The rent good? Do you or your landlord pay the bills? What's the resale value? You've never been inside the Citadel. It is Vermina's personal, sacred domain, sealed by an impenetrable door. Dream big. However, should you ever find something of interest to the Weaver of Dreams, or otherwise feel compelled to reach out to her dark and inscrutable majesty, there's a drop slot through which lesser omens such as yourself might leave letters, correspondence, notices, reports, or your personal favorite greeting cards. It's also big enough to send gifts like a very small vase. You've never gotten to reply, which leads you to believe you must already have many small vases. Ballsack Wonder wrote, "Ring the doorbell several times." Worry wrote, "You haven't been contacted in a while. Does that mean you are unnecessary?" Jaharit wrote, have you been forgotten here? Just because you are forgotten and invisible does not mean you are unimportant. Ooh, think of it as being similar to a guard on a wall. The commander does not think about the guard or care for whatever mundane reports the guard would deliver. The guard to not be there, however, would show weakness. It would turn a guarded section of wall into an opening enemies could exploit. In that same way, you are an extension of Vermina's will. Literally, you're a figment of her creation, a thought that would otherwise occupy her mind instead made manifest. When a conjurer reaches into the waters of oblivion, yours is a voice that might reach back. You are a reminder that these waters are not deaf or empty. You are the goddess's reminder that those waters want to be feared. Yours is a mighty purpose. The Gibbous guy wrote, "Do you have anything to eat with actual nutritional value?" Omens, like all Daedric beings, do not need to eat. Doing so is merely a choice for enjoyment. The tree in your lair does occasionally produce succulent fruit, though. There's a satisfaction in piercing the outer skin with your mandibles and nibbling at the bead of juice that wells up from the breach, and cracking through the firm flesh and being overwhelmed with the subsequent wave of sweet smells. Just thinking about it evokes a vestigial hunger in you can savor such a snack in this manner for hours. Looks like there's one there now, tempting you. Atrantu, give the fruit as a gift. Outer Dark wrote, "Have you ever considered to try giving half fruit? It probably wouldn't fit in the slot hole, but you could try cutting it into pieces, minerals, or perhaps with one of the swords. You could even make a plate." Link's Solstice wrote, "Offer the fruit as a gift to the Queen of Dreams and Nightmares." Well, yes, of course, you've thought about it, but food gifts always exist in this weird place where you're implicitly saying that the recipient doesn't usually eat food that's good, which in a best case scenario means that the gift is an attack on their taste, and in a worst case scenario, it is an embarrassing reveal of your own taste if it turns out the food you like is actually bad. And you've just never noticed, and laugh at you for being so foolish as to think something bad is actually good, or be offended that you'd assume they don't already have far better things in abundance. And overall, it's a very intimidating notion, and you're not going to do it, and you decide not to give fruit as a gift. Don Brainhook wrote, "Trying to get it is probably going to turn into a whole thing. You've no time for things. You're a busy spider. Ignore it. In fact, you probably should just ignore the fruit in general." What does that say? The trees like it when their fruit gets... like this broken? You have duties as an omen of Vermina that require your constant readiness and unerring focus. You cannot allow yourself to be distracted by frivolous thoughts and pleasures, when at any moment you may be called upon to represent the majesty of her dark eminence. Stecker wrote, "Got a big twig stuck in your chitin, her chitin." Baldman wrote, "Clean up, Stay." Yeah. The Duke of Kings wrote, "Eat one of the swords." No! That always hurts! Leon, not a lion, wrote, "Do you have any friends to talk to? Besides us. Voices on your head. You have plenty of friends." Mr. Obscure wrote, "Eat the fruit. Eat the fruit." Alistair wrote, "Yes, eat the book. I mean fruit. Eat fruit." John wrote, "Eat the sweet succulent treat." Audrey wrote, "Eat the apple." Zarhan wrote, "Double penetrate the fruit with your fangs." Doggo wrote, "Consume the succulent morsel." Tricky122 wrote, "Give in to the desire. Eat the apple. Indulge yourself. Eat the tasty fruit. Much. Hit in this kobold wrote, "Spider mukbang? Spider mukbang." Jeff wrote, "Indulge yourself. Eat the tasty fruit. Beast. Eat it." I doubt anyone would mind if you had a quick little snack. Ah. uh, Additional resources. AMK jump scare. Atrantu continues screaming. And this one came out March 13th of this year. They're rolling around freaking out. We haven't even gotten to the M of the scream yet. They're they're still they're still going. Oh, there's the M and there's nope, it's happening again. Yeah, they're catching their breath. Nope, they're still going. Oh, the snake is here. And the snake is leaving. Don't break the fourth wall. Stop that. Did they die? Yeah, this one came out May 14th of this year. Ghosty wrote, "Try to get her to calm down. It's clear that she's terrified of you. Show her that you're not so bad." Untamed Tower Guy wrote, "Gadia, put on your invisibility cloak. The spider will probably stop screaming as much. If you speak, it'll probably start screaming again, so best to just, poke at it while invisible." We're now the Khajiit again. The omen slowly creaks half its eyes open and asks where you went. You explain that you put on your cloak of, making you not show up over telepathic connections, which is a thing that exists. Cloaks of not making you show up over telepathic connections. Oh, woo, the omen thinks with relief. For a second it thought the Khajiit would turn invisible now, which would be an absolutely terrifying new development for it. It means you'd probably like it. It apologizes for the unprofessional introduction. It admits it has a slight phobia. It's still trying to get under control. This contact went far better than the last one, though. You tell it it's fine. You can empathize. Should you hide the weird snake with cat ears and tiny arms, too? The omen asks, "What snake?" You suddenly realize that you should probably be keeping better track of what it is and isn't imaginary before this becomes a problem for you. Although its fear is still palpable, the omen puffs out its chest, puts on a brave face, and asks, "What business the conjurer before it seeks with the Lady of Nightmares and the Plane of Quagmire?" Wasting no time, you delve into your plight. You explain that ever since you were a small child in Hammerfell, you've been plagued by terrifying nightmares about a shadowy king. Last time you slept, though, something about the nightmares changed. It's as if the nightmare was suddenly trying to communicate with you. It told you not to be afraid of it, and whatever was sending that message, it told you it would be back later. You aren't sure what this means, but in a way, that's what scares you most of all. Right now, your life is finally looking up. You have friends, you have money, and arguably you even have stable employment, at least insofar as get free room and board as long as you lounge around and do basically any stereotypical wizard activity other than try to topple the Empire. Ideally, you want to figure out a way to end your nightmares, but you also want to be sure things aren't about to somehow change for the worse. And if anyone would have answers to this or knowledge about your nightmares at all, you assume it would be the Daedric Prince Vermina. The omen nods. That makes a lot of sense, it thinks. Hmm. Well, the omen admits it's not actually sure what it's supposed to do next in this exchange. You ask the omen if it knows anything at all about your nightmares. It explains that it's not exactly privy to nearby information like that. Its job is to answer incoming contact requests from Khajiit. If the Khajiit gets scared and leaves, then it goes back to waiting. And if the Khajiit doesn't leave, there's probably something else it's supposed to do. You ask it why it keeps pronouncing the weird word weirdly, even in a mental link, but it ignores the question. Could you put me in contact with Vermina? The omen wishes it could. It wishes more than anything that it had that sort of direct access to the being that created it, that it could gaze upon her majesty and hear her 100 voices directly rather than merely looking upon a misty, distant citadel and imagining what transpires there. But it also understands why this is denied it. As a creature, Vermina, it understands that there is a beauty and longing, made stronger through torment, by wanting something forbidden to it, by striving to get something it cannot, that thing becomes more magnificent. It does not always understand Vermina's ways, but it thinks that this is what it is supposed to feel, and assumes its lack of direction is because it is supposed to share that gift with you. We both may feel disappointed and powerless in this situation, but maybe there's a joy in that. Maybe in our frustration, we are honoring Vermina. As it said though, this is merely conjecture. Vermina is a prince of impossible beauty and unknowable mystery. If a conjurer desires straightforward communication, they might find more satisfaction dealing with younger entities such as the ideal masters. All rights reserved, the little mothed skeleton adds. And then the spider started screaming again. Okay, so I think opening the page for consoling the streamers. Okay, sorry about the wait. There's some new stuff along with the update, though, including a side story that's contributed to the wait. Yeah, so I think this is where I'm going to stop and wait for there to be more content at now that we are no longer the spider. Definitively no longer the spider. But I like the spider. Arantula is great. I'll probably, by the time there's another episode, forget what voice I was doing for the spider. Though, if I come back to the spider and I'm not doing what all this nonsense was in the next episode, it's because I forgot. That being said, that's going to do it for this episode. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe would be groovy. If you didn't, don't. If you want to click the bell, you can do that as well so that you're notified of future uploads. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.